Hi, welcome to this week's Flaunt Digital Industry Spotlight. This is episode 4, and this week we're going to be covering Unilever threatening to pull some of their ads from toxic social networks. We're also going to be covering Google's AMP for Gmail initiative, and we're also going to be touching on Facebook losing users in the US.
Okay, so we're going to cover Facebook losing quite a significant amount of users for the first time ever in its history. So 2.8 million users in the US under 25, which is a key demographic for Facebook, seen as they're always striving for continued growth, which ties in with their frustrations about not getting hold of Snapchat, seen as that's a key demographic that Snapchat own. I think it's also been reflected in the fact that Facebook's stock has dropped for the first time in probably, or significantly for the first time in probably 10 years.
Yeah, and I know we touch on Snapchat quite a bit, don't we? I think this could be quite a key reason why Facebook's user base might be dwindling a little bit. I think the under 25 demographic now, seeing all the parents and all the older generation on Facebook, it's a bit ubiquitous, and now they're probably thinking, we need to get away from this, a bit more privacy.
Yeah.
Coming across to Snapchat or one of the other competitors, there's a few little competitors.
Oh, yeah, I agree, but you ask anybody that's under 25 anyway, and they think that Facebook's for people that are ancient anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, perhaps. I think as well, probably, I don't know how that ties in with what they're trying to encourage across Facebook though, because in my opinion, when I'm browsing Facebook, you normally find that engagement comes from younger people as well, and the older people just tend to observe.
Lurking.
Yeah, just lurking in the background. And it's the youth really that get on board and start to engage and like and comment and all that kind of thing. So yeah. I guess by Facebook trying to encourage more engagement, it's trying to get that older demographic to get on board a little bit more. They've already got the younger people covered. They know that they engage already. So is it maybe they're trying to get the older people to get a little bit more involved than they usually would be? But still, it's quite a sharp decline in general usage, really. It's been a pretty risky call, I think, and like Lisa, I think they've lost quite a bit of. They've had quite a big dip in the shares since.
I think in the grand scheme of things, 2.8 million users on a platform that has billions and billions of users daily is tiny from the outside looking in, but I think for Facebook it'll hit them hard because it's a key demographic, and it's a demographic that underlies the growth of the platform.
Like Chris is about shares, basically social networks, users equal shares, and it pretty much share prices correlates pretty much the same. So if it grows, and so do shares. Yeah, so that's a key demographic.
I still think though that it's been quite a good call on Facebook's part to try and encourage more engagement, because people are getting lazy with the social networks now. Like I say, the older demographic especially, we all do it, don't we? We'll browse and we'll watch videos and we'll look at people's photos, and we just sort of watch it from the background. We don't actually get engaged anymore. We don't interact with anything that's going on, and it's just it's swamped with publisher content now as well, which is probably going to degrade the whole brand if they're not careful. So I can sort of see why they've made this transition in the first place, to be honest.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Instagram now, because Instagram is replicating a lot of Snapchat functionality, but with things like Instagram's API being opened up, and marketers now have the ability to schedule. Yeah, it's going to be a fine line between them allowing Instagram to be ruined in terms of content, and it also stands to be seen how much further they're going to push it in terms of crushing Snapchat like for like on features.
Snapchat seem less scared to innovate, I don't know, with the recent app redesign. They're quite happy to just change things up. I know Facebook's done it historically, but over the last few years, really, the UI hasn't gone very far, has it?
No.
Neither has Instagram. It's pretty similar, whereas Snapchat pretty much has changed.
Well, it's been too risky for the user base, hasn't it? If you're going to try something out at scale and test something out, you're going to do it on a platform that's got a smaller following, and that there's less risk of things going wrong. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm always seeing people slagging Snapchat off for the various things that they change in the platform. I think if you were to...
People just don't like change though, do they? I mean, when Facebook changes, people just hate it, don't they? Whether it's for good or not.
Yeah, people don't like change, full stop, do they? So, but give it a few weeks and they've got used to it already, and it's a thing of the past.
Yep. I think Facebook have the user loyalty, but Snapchat think that they have the user loyalty by doing things like spectacles, stupid stuff like that. They think they're bigger than they are in terms of how loyal the users are, whereas Facebook, I think, take a bit more care when they do things.
But I think with Snapchat, it's a bit more of a cult following, isn't it? You can't see what I've been up to on Snapchat, whereas on Facebook and stuff, you can see each other's likes and you can see who they're chatting to, and not obviously do it publicly.
It's a bit more
That's
passive,
it.
isn't it?
They can probably get away with testing things on a, like on a more risky basis.
It's hard to compare, isn't it, sometimes, but yeah.
They'll bring it back. They'll just, if necessary, they'll just put in a stupid offer for Snapchat.
Yeah.
They've got enough money.
They've got enough money, so yeah, that's my final thought.
Well, overall, I think that it's still hard to really think of what Facebook are doing at the minute. I don't think anybody's got anything conclusive in terms of what they're going to do, but I think over these next 6 months it's going to be interesting what the outcome's going to be across the other channels, Instagram more importantly, and see what that shift looks like. But I think a lot of people will be quite pleased to see, like I say, the reduction in rubbish publisher content that's out there, and just spam brands and things like that. I mean, it does get a little bit irritating. You can see like Lad Bible and Unilad and publishers like that who have an enormous following, but they do push out a lot of crap sometimes, and it is really, really passive. So I can see what they're trying to do, or at least make these publishers work a little bit harder to push more quality content out.
Yeah, you can't make improvements without suffering any kind of loss. And I think, like I said at the start, 2.8 million in the grand scheme of things is pretty small.
It's a drop in the ocean, isn't it, really?
Yep. So now we're just going to talk about the Google AMP for Gmail article that's been around the news. People made quite a big deal out of this, and it's sort of come out of the blue a little bit. Doesn't seem to have been much warning about this being part of Google's plans, but they've put it in. They've put the plans public now, and they've basically said that there's a preview available, and they've announced which brands they're working with to get this into their emails. So there's brands like Booking.com and Doodle and Pinterest. And there's been a lot of bit of an uproar about this, because email is one of those things that's been pretty much the same since anyone can remember. It's essentially just letters, snail mail, but electronically. And these are sort of like, you trust it so that if you've got an email and it's in your account, you go back to it in a few weeks' time, it's going to be the same. It's not a living thing, it's almost like it's fixed in time. So as soon as you start introducing these elements, that's going to make emails maybe slightly more dynamic. And some people are even saying that it might be used in such a way that you might send an email marketing newsletter out saying this product's on sale, but it'll be sensitive to time. So maybe you'll go back next week and it'll be the new product that's on sale. Whereas current email marketing newsletters, obviously, if you go back to your stuff that were on sale last week, it might not even be on sale anymore. But that's part of how it should work. That's how letters in the post work, and that's how these things have always worked. Just people should expect it to be like that. So as soon as you start changing these key things, key fundamentals to how emails work, it's going to change everything really, and you've got to be really careful not to just screw with that, because it's going to be strange. But I think people are overreacting a little bit, because I imagine Google's intentions here are a bit better than that, and what they're wanting to do really is have emails, for example, that have got a call to action in there, takes you to a form that allows someone to submit, and obviously you want as little friction as possible for someone to complete that goal. So in my opinion, I think one of the main use cases here is going to be sort of bringing those forms up in Gmail and letting the user complete the goal without leaving Gmail, and creating that friction, that jump between your email app, Gmail, and your web browser app, whatever that may be. So I think personally that's like what they're intending to do. Whether this could end up spiraling out of control, and like some people have suggested, you end up never leaving Gmail because Google basically just hijack all your web links, don't let you go to your browser, and keep you in the app. Whether it gets that bad, I don't know, but...
I love that.
Really?
Yeah, it pisses me off when you have to go to an external site when you click a link through an email. If they can do that and you can interact with the website within Gmail and it saves me time, I'm happy about it.
But don't think...
It's not good for the brands though that are offering the service from an inbound perspective. It's like when they tested the shopping products, and so you can actually purchase through Google Shopping platform. It's the same principle there. You don't even have to go to the retailer that's selling the product. They're trying to harness the power of having that whole platform integrated and keeping it in. What you're talking about there is it's almost like a dynamic inbox, isn't it?
Well, that was a crap user experience when they did that with shopping. this is a better user experience.
But you're taking power away from the brands, like Chris said. If you in Google Shopping example, you can't upsell, cross-sell, do what you want. You're eating out of Google's pound, aren't you? You can't do what you want anymore. You've got to play by their rules. You put the product there, all your competitors are going to be next to it, and you've got to stand out from the crowd with a price point or a picture.
Yeah, I agree. I have no doubt in my mind that they'll monetize it in some way and make it into a platform where advertisers have to pay for the privilege of having that control back. But coming out of the ad world, looking at it from a user perspective, if it's driving a better user experience, then it's worth it.
Yeah, I think people, especially in the tech industry, there's this big brother thing in there with Google where people just don't want to let them have everything, and it's like they keep eating into this pie of stuff that they can just sort of have control of or track or serve ads as part of. It seems like this is another thing, because obviously you've already got AMP for web and there's been loads of privacy concerns there whereby you're still in Google's ecosystem even though you think you're on the brand's website, but you're sort of not. And there's that same thing now. So if your lead gen forms are within Gmail, who's to say that Google aren't looking what you're typing in or seeing which brands you're interested in, reporting that back to the enterprise customers that are paying fortunes for Google's
Exactly,
analysis.
they'll be harnessing that data in one way or another, won't they? If they've got your purchase history, they can go and sell that data onto other companies, can't they? Or at least use that. They'll be trying to build a pool of transactors so they can use that for other marketing platforms and things like that to build things like these technologies that you see coming out of like AdWords and stuff, like your similar audiences and your in-market audiences. So these are all new evolving technologies that show a customer's, I know we're going off the line a little bit here, but show like a customer's intent to purchase. And they have all these different touch points and ways to determine whether somebody is actually a higher value purchaser or a frequent online buyer, things like that. They'll be getting more data from products like that, and obviously by the evolution of this Gmail AMP stuff, it's just the same thing again. They're just holding all that data in the same place to obviously use.
And no doubt that data will come up in Google Analytics in a few years' time. They'll be able to say, oh look, we've seen conversion, all your goal data is going to be in there. These people are converting. Who's to say they're not going to start sending the newsletters on your behalf? They don't even have to send it, do they? They just inject it into Gmail.
Exactly. Yeah.
The only reason why people are kicked up a fuss about this is because it's Google, and Google are transparent about what they're doing. Facebook do it. Amazon do it. Every big tech company collects as much data as they can to then leverage into revenue stream. It's just Google are more transparent about it.
Closing you off though, innit? You can't get out of their ecosystem. People don't like that. And people in tech industry don't like that. Obviously, like say, from a more dumb user experience, for want of a better word, if it's less friction, awesome. I don't care. So for people who are less tech savvy, this might be great for them. They might even notice it's happening. They might just start thinking things are loading faster.
I'm pretty tech savvy and I'm pretty comfortable with it.
I mean, brands need Google, don't they, really? They rely on Google for a lot of the traffic and I guess a lot of the sales, but at the same time, how much do you want Google knowing about your customers and all that kind of thing? And you don't know, I mean, how do you make it clear to your customers that you're protected on the data that you share and things like that? I'd just be conscious of it if I were a brand, and having Google pretty much harness all your data in the same place, you'd be a little bit wary, wouldn't you?
In my opinion, people need to stop whining and just get on with it and adapt to the platform.
And just let everyone have data.
Just get on with it.
Just give Google it all.
Stop whining about it. Google don't give two shits what they're doing. They're going to do it anyway, so you may as well just adapt to the platform and adapt to what they're doing.
Another point here is that if you don't like what's going on and you're a Gmail user, then there's plenty of competitors you can go to.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they have no reason to adopt something like this. You can go off to look at DuckDuckGo, for example, as a Google competitor. Their USP is the privacy conscious, isn't it? So no doubt if this causes a bigger uproar as people making out, then the DuckDuckGo for Gmail will come out, or what for email or whatever, and then it's consumer's choice at the end of the day.
I think it's just another passing thing in it. I think it'll be one of them that gets tried and tested, and then we'll come out of it, and it'll probably be gone in another year.
Just hopefully it won't have as many teething issues as AMP on the web, because obviously we're still talking about that. We talked about it the other week, and still changing fundamentals of that. So hopefully they've learned quite a bit from the tech side there, and they can apply that knowledge and not mess it up really as badly as they seem to have done for web.
Well, it'll probably go the same way as it's just gone, where they're trying to give a bit more power back to the publisher.
Hopefully, that's what they'd like, won't they?
Happy medium.
Yep.
So the next topic we're going to talk about is the recent news regarding Unilever and their CMO basically threatening to leave Facebook and Google for all their advertising services. So Unilever are pretty much a manufacturing and packaging giant. They own Marmite and other brands like that. And they're accusing Facebook and Google of being swamped with poor content, basically, and they don't want their brand showing next to this toxic content. I think it's just the same sort of thing as what happened, I think it was last year, with the brand protection thing with YouTube and L'Oreal and M&S, where it was some of their content was shown next to extremist content. And there is a bit of a transparency issue here. It's there's a lot of people trying to develop transparency tools in the digital world now to make sure that brands feel secure and comfortable that the content's being put next to trustworthy content and content that basically isn't going to damage the brand in some way. But obviously this is a massive decision on the CMO of Unilever's part, because I think they spend in the region of around 10 billion a year in advertising, which is an absolutely enormous sum of money. So I imagine Facebook and Google are going to be shaking in the boots at this statement, if I'm being honest with you. But I think it is, it is a threat at the right time, really. I think Facebook and Google need to take accountability for the type of content that advertisers are showing next to. So yeah, it just needs tidying up, really, and I think it'll be the start of bigger things, really.
I agree with what he's doing, Keith Weed, but if he pulled all his social ad spend, it'd do too much damage. It's not going to happen.
It would do, but I know what you're saying, and it's unlikely that they will, if I'm being honest with you. They will rely on that traffic too much, but there is a real transparency and visibility issue in the market at the minute, and everybody's trying to race to develop the perfect technology that's going to eradicate all this content, like the extremist content that we experienced last year across YouTube. It is a massive issue, and I don't think advertisers up until this point have really realised where their ad content's actually being served and what it's being served next to. And just from a general brand equity standpoint, if somebody sees your brand showing next to extremist content, it's going to be, it's going to have a detrimental effect on your brand, no doubt.
Don't you think consumers are wising up now to this? It's not a human that's putting these things next to one another, is it? It's an algorithm. Don't you think consumers are wising up to that now, and sort of, you can understand that if these things happen, it's not for, it's no one's fault. It's not I see what you're saying, and it can be damaging to your brand. I think more contextually awkward situations can arise than this, though. I mean, I don't know exactly what he's saying is bad content that's getting placed next to his, but with the extremist content and stuff, wasn't there more context with that?
No, that was just YouTube. That were exclusively to YouTube and not, so it wasn't necessarily an attack. Well, it were an attack on Google because Google are YouTube. Yep. But it was more of it was specifically YouTube that was the victim of that there, really, and they've done things between then and now to enforce more protection and more security against that. So they have put protocols in place to improve that, but obviously Facebook have never really suffered any brunt up until now. But yeah, you're right in what you're saying. I think consumers are becoming more aware. It's been publicised so much over the last year about getting rid of this online content. I don't think anybody's unaware of it. People just don't, people at the top of these businesses like Unilever, they're massively protective over the brand equity, and they do want something about it, doing about it.
It's just an old school way of looking at it. I always think that when people bring up topics like this, it's almost like, say you had a 2-page spread in a magazine and your advert was there, and there was something that's contextually sort of awkward or offensive next to it. Obviously humans put that there in Illustrator or whatever graphics package they're using. Yeah. Same with like TV ads, you won't put something contextually awkward in the, if you're showing a documentary on something awful, you wouldn't put something that's contextually awful in the middle, would you? Because someone's got to make sure it doesn't happen. But online, consumers have sort of got to start realising that this is the algorithm that's doing this. It's not, no one's there to vet it most of the time. And now people are expecting them to do that, aren't they?
I think they do, but I think advertisers would like the control to be able to decide whether to show it next to that content or not, which I don't think is an unfair judgment, or for somebody to say that the lack of control is the problem here. You can't choose whether to show it next to it or not, which is a bit of a problem. And nobody even, there's tons of different viewability tools and technologies that are coming now which are actually helping you get slightly close to that transparency metric, but it's still a little bit of an unknown. And I think one thing that they're working towards, I know we've discussed it a little bit before, but the blockchain technology, which is, it's a methodical way basically of making sure that you've got access to the whole history of the ad being served. And I know these guys are working closely with IBM to try and develop that technology. So it might be that in another couple of years we've got a completely new system that's transparent and trustworthy and gives people control. And then there'll be no ambiguity about whether you've shown next to extremist content or just a generally content that you don't want to be affiliated with.
Yep. I think at the end of the day, whoever's got the money in the pocket, obviously, how much did you say this guy's got to spend or his budget is?
10 billion a year.
If you've got 10 billion a year in your pocket and you want some sort of feature adding to this advertising platform, it's going to happen, isn't it? Who cares? It's going to happen. So
in a way, I like what is done really. It is helping all advertisers, because unless a big dog with a load of cash and deep pockets makes a big threat like is done, what are little fry going to do? They're not going to have any impact on whether they change. These guys might disrupt it enough for Google and Facebook to go, right guys, we need to up it here. And then when the smaller guys are pitching advertising services and they're getting asked an awkward question like, how can you guarantee viewability and transparency, and how can we gauge whether we're showing next to good content or bad content? Yep. They've got the confidence to then say to their brand on who they're advertising on the behalf of, yes, I can guarantee that you're not going to be shown next to XYZ content.
Yeah.
I think the platforms have 100% got a responsibility to develop it and get it to that stage, but I still think that although it's a bold move and it's good that it's bringing it to the media and the attention of the industry, he's still going to put his money where the attention of the consumer is as a consumer brand.
Yep.
Fundamentally, he's never going to pull his ads from a platform where his potential customers are.
No, and I don't think it will, in all honesty with you. I think it's just a little bit of a, come on guys, step it up. And I think he's done the right thing. I think he's done it for everybody's benefit, because if it has the effect that M&S and BMW and L'Oreal had on YouTube the other year, YouTube went on to implement new protocols and new levels of security. If Facebook go and do that, it's going to make every advertiser's life easier. Because I get asked awkward questions about where we're being shown, where your ads been placed, especially on algorithmic placements and optimizations. If you choose automatic placement in Facebook, for instance, or Instagram, you're just leaving it to you're just leaving it to the platform to do that. People don't want that. Brands want more trust and control on where the content's been served. But basically, in a nutshell, I think it's good, and I think it's kicked up a bit of dust, and hopefully Facebook and Google react positively. I'm sure they will.
Can we just go back to this guy's name?
Keith Weed.
That's a great name, that. Sounds like a Mighty Boosh character.
Great name, Keith. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've got any feedback on any of the topics that we've covered, or if you want us to cover a topic in a future episode, let us know. Either comment on YouTube or get in touch with us via any of the social channels. We're at Flaunt Digital across every channel. We'd love to hear from you.
Right. Am I doing intro?
Yeah.
Hi. What was that? Industry spotlight.
Hi.
Start again.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, American.